Hi, this is Sweet June 2010 coming back at you. Um, there's a big thing going around right now. It's called the Black Lives Matter movement going on. Black Lives Matter movement going on. And I noticed that there's a debate going on between black people and white people. You know, black people and white people going back and forth. White people are saying that all lives matter. Like after somebody came out with the term Black Lives Matter, a white person turned around and came out with hashtag All Lives Matter. And so there's kind of the debate going back and forth between black and white people about Black Lives Matter. You know, white people are saying all lives matter, not just black lives. Well, that's true. All lives do matter. But in this video, I'm going to educate white people in this video. And I'm going to explain to you why black people are saying that. I'm going to explain to you why black people are saying all black lives matter. I'm going to explain to you because and my thought is, you either get it or you don't, and if you don't get it, you don't want to get it, people only understand what they want to understand. That they don't want to understand, we find that true out in the ministry. A lot of times when we're out in ministry, sometimes you try to read scriptures to people from the Bible, and you try to explain to them different things in the Bible, and they act like they don't understand it, and the old saying is ignorance is bliss. When it comes down to it, they don't want to understand it. They don't want to understand things of the scriptures because some people, when it comes to spiritual things, they want to be in ignorance. They want to stay in ignorance because God holds us accountable for what we know. He holds us accountable for what we know. So being that he holds us accountable for what we know, a lot of people want to stay in ignorance. They don't want to know the truth, and they prefer to stay in ignorance. So they only understand what they want to understand. They can understand it if they really want to, but when it comes down to it, they don't want to understand it because they want to continue to be in ignorance. So they're not held accountable. And so that's true in a lot of other cases. I think that's true in this Black Lives Movement thing going on. I think that same theory stands to hold true. Is that a lot of white people understand it, but they don't want to understand it. They only understand the things that they want to understand. Because reason why I say that is because some white people actually get it, and those white people are out on the front lines marching in the Black Lives Matter rallies. They actually get it. So why do they get it and you don't get it? Okay, you don't want to get it. That's what it is. But I'm going to educate you. This video is about educating people, and I want to explain to you why, you probably wonder, okay, why do black people say only Black Lives Matter? First of all, let's clear that up. Let's start there. We're not saying only Black Lives Matter. Okay, we're not saying only Black Lives Matter. We know that all lives matter. Of course, all lives matter. In God's eyesight, all lives matter. Even animals, the life of animals matters. So, because even in the Bible, the God, Jehovah God says that, Peter is all up in arms about people wearing furs and stuff. But actually, the Bible says that it's okay for us to kill animals for food and for clothing. It's okay in Jehovah's eyes for us to kill animals for food and clothing. But it's not okay for us to go out there just to kill animals just to kill them. We don't go out there because God wants us to have that respect for people's for life, for not just people's life, but life in general. So we are only to kill animals, and of course Peter doesn't understand that. But it's okay in God's eyesight. It's okay to kill animals for food and clothing, and fur coats are in fact clothing. I mean, when you put a fur coat on in the wintertime. I live in here in Michigan, and you put a fur coat on, that's gonna give you some warmth, so much warmth that you need. So it's okay in God's eyesight. It's okay to kill animals for food and clothing. If you need to eat and you need clothing, it's fine. But it's not okay to just go out and kill animals just to go out and kill them. We got that clear anyway, at least. But we're not saying that all lives don't matter. Of course all lives matter. All life is precious. Let's get that straight. We're not saying that nobody else's life matters. That's not what we're saying. We're not saying that. So let's get that straight right off the bat. We acknowledge that by saying Black Lives Matter, we're not saying nobody else's life matters. That's not why that's not the reason why Black people are saying that. Now let's get that cleared up right there. That's cleared up. We got that cleared up. Okay, let's move on. Now, the reason why Black people say Black Lives Matter is because historically, if you do your research and it doesn't make sense for anybody to be ignorant in this day and age, because we got Google. You literally have research at your fingertips. Everybody owns a smartphone. We literally have research at our fingertips. Literally, I asked a lady on the job the other day about how often is it okay to take ibuprofen 800, and she just simply got on the phone and she Googled it for me and she told me the information. So that's how quick we can get information now. We have information at our fingertips. So there is no excuse for anybody to be ignorant. No excuse. Absolutely no excuse. Everything that we need to know is on our search engines. My favorite search engine is Google. Okay. You hear that, Google? So it's simply no excuse for anybody to be ignorant unless you're illiterate and you can't read. Okay. So you can do the research and research Black history. Anybody in this country can do the research, and they can research Black history, slavery, and what went on in slavery. A lot of the things that took place during slavery time. And historically, Black people was viewed as less, Black people were looked at as viewed as animals. A lot of times the slave masters would sell Black people and put them up on an auction block. When you go back and you read the descriptions of when they were advertising the slaves, you go back and you read the descriptions, and they were describing them like they were cattle. Being a Black person, it's really disheartening looking at all that, because it is really mind blowing, because it's like when they were advertising the sale of their slaves, they were talking about them as if they were cattle, because they looked at them as animals. They looked at the slaves as animals. They didn't look at them. They didn't see them as human. Black people wasn't seen as human. We were seen as less than, and we wasn't seen as human. And that's historically throughout history. But down in Florida, Black children were used as alligator bait. And that's, oh my God, I'm just appalled by that. That's just mind blowing. That They had the black babies and young children were used as alligator bait down in Florida back in the slavery times. Black people were hung from trees and everything, and they got together and had picnics, and it was like a sport. You know, they wasn't even doing animals like that back then. They wasn't even doing the animals like that, but they were doing black people like that. So actually, a black life was viewed less than an animal. I think they put more value in their horses and stuff than they did black people. So that's pretty sad. And that's historically throughout history. And then as time go on, you know, this belief has been perpetuating throughout the decades. Is that a black life, the value of a black person's life, like the value of our life in society is not viewed as the same of a white person's life. The value of our life is not viewed as the same as a white person's life. Less value is placed, and this is a historical fact. This is historically, but this has gone throughout the decades. Less value has been placed on black people's lives, and it's like, as I stated in one of my other videos, a black child comes up missing. 9 times out of 10, you're really not going to hear about it. Just recently, a black baby came up missing in Detroit. This is just recently. I usually get those Amber alerts on my phone. I didn't get any Amber alerts. Everybody else was saying that they didn't get any Amber alerts about this child, this black child. I think it was a baby that came up missing in Detroit. Why didn't we get an Amber alert? And that's the thing. In some cases they're getting Amber alerts, but some cases they're not. When a black child comes up missing, there's a lot of cases of black children coming up missing, but 9 times out of 10 you're not going to hear anything about it. So in some cases you do, but in most cases you don't. We don't really know a lot about the black missing children in this country. There's a lot of black missing children in this country. Matter of fact, they had a show on Centric. I think it was on the Centric channel. They had a show. It was called Find Our Missing, and it was they were showing episodes of black children that came up missing. It was actually a really great show, and I'm like, wow, you know, it's like you see these cases and you've never heard of them before in your life. See, but then but on the flip side, when a white child comes up missing, at the end of the day, everybody knows that child's name, where that child lives, and everything, because they got it posted all over media. There's overwhelming media coverage of it all over the country. And you always get Amber alerts when a white child comes up missing. That's one of the prime examples right there. They don't look for the black children like they do the white children. This has been going on for decades. To always be really, really scared when my boys were little. I would always be like, and my son would be like, Mom, why are you so overprotective? I'd be like, don't do this. Don't go to the woods. Okay. And I would always be telling them, giving them all these do's and don'ts. And he would be like, Mom, why are you so overprotective? I said, I'm not being overprotective. I'm just keeping you safe. And, he would kind of freak out because he thought I was being overprotective. But because I know as a black mother, if my child comes up missing, 9 times out of 10, they're not going to go out of their way looking for my baby. And that is, I don't know about you other black mothers, but that has always been a number one fear for me as a black mother. They're not going to look for your baby that like they would someone else's. A white child. And so there's that extra fear there as a black mother. And so that's one of the prime examples right there. Historically, less value has always been placed on a black life. When a black person dies, it's no big deal. When a white person dies, It's all over. At the end of the day, everybody know who that white person is. You know, it's all over nationwide news. People so used to this. People are so used to this that it's you know, people have went into a state of oblivion because they're so used to things being that way. But less value is placed on a black life. Not as much value is being placed on a black life as a white life. And what we're saying essentially is that our life is just as valuable as a white life. Our life holds just as much value as a white life. We're tired of society telling us that our lives are not valued. And time again, throughout history, society has always told our people that. Historically, throughout the years and the decades, time and time again, society has always told our people that our lives don't hold as much value. And what they're basically saying in the Black Lives Matter movement is that yes, our lives are just as valuable as anybody else. God loves us just as much as he does everybody else. God created us just as much as he created everybody else. Our lives hold as much value. Just as much value. We didn't say it was more valuable. That's not what we're saying. We're not saying our lives are more valuable. We're saying our lives are just as valuable as everybody else. Because historically, we've been told that our lives don't hold as much value. And we're trying to make everybody, well, the Black Lives Movement are trying to make everybody realize and wake up and see our lives are just as valuable. Stop putting less value on our lives. Because everybody loved their children. Everybody have loved ones in their family. When a black person and a white person lose a loved one, the pain is the same. The pain is the same across the board. Everybody loved their loved ones. Nobody wants to see their loved ones being murdered and gunned down. I don't care what race you are across the board. Nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to see their loved ones being murdered. And we got feelings just like everybody else. Black people got feelings just like everybody else. And we love our loved ones just as much as everybody else do. And black people are getting tired of that not being acknowledged. It's a historical fact. Throughout history, less value has been placed on a black person's life. All the way from slavery up till now. Black people are basically making a stand and saying our lives hold value. But what I'm saying is, my point is that we got to start valuing that same belief has to transcend to the black community. With that being said, because white people look at the outside in and say, okay, they say Black Lives Matter, then why do they keep killing up their own people? Okay, that same belief has to transcend into the black community. We got to start, standing up and saying the same thing in our communities and saying, okay, Black Lives Matter, and we got to start killing up our own people. Okay, so that same belief has to transcend to the black community. But that's the reason why black people are saying that. Because throughout history, a black life held, according to society, white society had less value, didn't have as much value as a white life. And they're saying that, no, our life is just as valuable as yours is. And so the black people are basically trying to get white people to stand up and realize that. But you gotta show that evidence. That same theory has to transcend into the black community as well. We gotta stop killing up our own people. Okay? I wanted to get that straight. I wanted to educate with this video. Like, share, and subscribe to my channel. God bless. This is Sweet June 2010.